Where did it go? Did I leave it in the cold? So please give it back, cause it's not yours today. It must have felt when I lost my time. Deep in the gut, trying to get it back. Somebody help, cause I can't come my way. Nobody move, nobody move.
Welcome back to the Culture Unplugged. I'm your host, Nolan Winchell. Playing us in was Them Changes by Thundercat off their album Drunk, released in 2015. Probably one of my favorite songs. You know, it's very chill vibe. Just kind of plays them perfectly. Today's topic, obviously, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest issues / resolutions in college sports right now, NIL and the transfer portal. I'm going to be giving it my opinion and kind of my perspective from a former college athlete and kind of where I see it going in the next few years. I mean, obviously it's still very new, just coming out in 2021. It's a very tricky game, basically. I think everybody's still trying to maneuver it. So, NIL, for those who don't know, is name, image, likeness. It basically allows college players to get paid from T-shirts, hats. The new NCAA game, it allows them to make money off of that. Basically, anything that uses their name, image, or likeness, they will get paid off of that. And kind of what a lot of people are facing now is, I mean, you have college kids that are 18 through 23, 24, and they're making $4.5 million. And it's getting to the point now where it's like, they'll transfer teams based off where the money is. Like it's almost like they're pro athletes at this point. You know, they're chasing where the money is, which, I mean, from a college standpoint and from a former college athlete standpoint, I don't blame them. I mean, being 22 years old, you throw $4.5 million at me. I mean, I'm probably going to go take the $4.5 million. I mean, it's such a weird and, so, like I said, it's still a very new topic, and it's still hard for people to kind of determine what's right and what's wrong. I mean, obviously, in the past, you know, you got big names. You got Manziel, Reggie Bush, Cam Newton, for those who don't know. But, I mean, those are names now that would be making $8 million, $10 million in college football. I mean, those are some big names there. I mean, Manziel, obviously, didn't pan out whenever he went to the NFL, but I mean, in college, I mean, he was over here hanging out with Drake, LeBron, Steph Curry, like all of like big names at the time, just based off of who he was. So I mean, you look at that now, and it's like that's normal. You got you got college athletes like what's a good example here? Dylan Gabriel for Oregon before he obviously graduated. He gave his whole team beats. I mean, and you see that a lot now. It's like these guys that are getting a bunch of NIL, they'll gift their teammates stuff. And I mean, like I said, it's such. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a really good thing. It encourages these players to kind of understand what they're going to go through whenever they get to the pro level, and it kind of teaches them how to deal with that. However, where I see it being a problem is there's no loyalty to teams anymore, which obviously, you know, I know what you guys are thinking. Well, these college teams would probably cut them if anything was to happen to them like that. I mean, and that's a very true statement. I mean, I've seen the business end of college baseball, at least. I mean, if you're not performing and you're not doing anything for them, they're going to get rid of you. That's just how it is. It sucks for you being an athlete and that happens to you, but it's the reality of it. For you, it's just a sport up until now where you're getting paid for it. But for the longest time, I mean, this was all kids had. You know, they had came and play college football, college baseball, whatever, and teams would cut you like that for minor infractions or just not performing, and then they'd kind of be left on their own. But now I see it as I don't think teams need to be cutting people for infractions, like minor infractions. I'm not obviously, if it gets to the point where it's like drugs or stuff like that, you got to do what you got to do because you got to protect the face of the university. That's just what it is. But now it's like, I feel like they need to incorporate something to where it's basically you get fined, like the same way you're in the NFL. If you're late for a practice, you get fined. I mean, that's just what it is. I'm not saying it's got to be like a $10,000 fine. Obviously, no player in NCAA is going to be making the same amount of NIL money. It just depends on how big your name is. But there's definitely benefits and there's definitely issues with NIL, and I think it's going to be a very tricky thing to maneuver the next few years. I mean, even now, it's still like everybody's trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I'm losing 6-10 of my players to the portal because they're all going and getting better NIL money. So it's definitely something that's got to be policed a little better. I will say that. But from a college athlete standpoint, former college athlete standpoint, like I said, I think it's a good thing. However, it was very weird whenever it came into effect for at least my first year. Obviously I went to a junior college. You're not getting any NIL money out of junior college unless you're just freaking Arch Manning or somebody. Unless you're a huge name, you're probably not getting any NIL money. And obviously, I didn't. I was no name going in college. This is what it is. But I know a lot of guys that at least I've talking to over the years. It's just like it was so weird for them to even accept money because for the longest time it was like you accepted money or you took anything like that, you got it, like you would get penalized pretty heavily. I mean, NCAA was very strict about it. Like they would crack down and basically you would never play college sports again unless obviously you found not guilty or something. But I mean, it used to be a huge deal, and like I said, even today, it's scary for athletes to do it. But I mean, a lot of people are going to do it, obviously, because whenever you're in college, I mean, you're broke. You're a student athlete. You are broke. You're going to receive whatever stipend the program's giving you. But other than that, I mean, you may be able to work, but I mean, as a college athlete, I mean, I know at least my schedule whenever I played, from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, we were at the gym. And from 8 o'clock until probably about 2:30, I was in class. And then after that, from 2:30 to probably 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, we were on the field. I mean, there's not much time where you're going to be able to work, at least as an athlete. I mean, you can work weekends, but no, NIL is definitely going to be a great thing, and it is a good thing. I'm not saying it's not. It promotes athletes better and teaches proper lessons for kids. I think there's definitely going to be a lot more policing coming into it within the next few years. I mean, transfer portals now are just overloaded because it's just kids trying to go get money. Which I mean, like I said, completely understand. I'm not faulting anybody for it. And the NIL's definitely brought out some good things too. I mean, Reggie Bush's Heisman got reinstated. They're starting to realize this stuff now. It's like, oh, we're being okay with it now, but like, I mean, for years, there's a lot of athletes that got in like a lot of trouble for it. I mean, like even now, I'm pretty sure the investigation is either over or still ongoing. But I remember they were investigating Cam Newton for taking $250,000 to play somewhere. It was a big deal back then. Like they were gonna pop you for it, like guaranteed. that's kind of my standpoint on it, at least. I mean, like I said, it's very new. It's very strange. It's going to take a lot of getting used to. But, I mean, I've seen some really good things out of it, though, you know? Uh, like I said, all these athletes are getting promoted better. I mean, I saw Arch Manning on some podcast, and it was hilarious. I mean, it allows these athletes to go out and do fun stuff like that and really take advantage of how big their name is. And I mean, why would you not want that, you know? Like, not only are they going out and promoting themselves, but it's kind of giving a better face to the school too, because it's like, hey, that kid plays for there, and he did this really cool podcast and said all these really good things, or he's doing this commercial for a law firm or something like that, and it's like, oh, well, he plays there, you know, and that kind of puts an image in younger kids and other adults' minds, like, hey, maybe that's a pretty good school. Let me look into that school. So, I mean, like I said, there's definitely benefits of it. It's one of those subjects where you could sit there and talk about it all day. It's such a strange world to be in, especially as an athlete. And it's like, even for coaches, I mean, because now it's harder to recruit high school kids because, like, you have 5 stars and 4 stars jumping in the portal almost every year to go get NIL money. So it's like, man, if you're looking at it from a college coach perspective, if we can get that kid X amount of dollars, we can build a super team. I mean, to have a super team in college football, it's a big deal. I mean, obviously. Um, Another thing I have noticed though with NIL and the transfer portal is really almost kind of leveled out the playing field. Because I mean, if you kind of notice, uh, last year there's a lot of upsets happening all across college football, just based off of strictly, you know, you don't have 35 stars going to one program anymore. Like, you have 5 stars going to all these random schools because they were able to get them the money that they wanted. I mean, you were seeing, I don't think I saw a single undefeated team last year. I mean, Oregon was, you know, up until Ohio State. Can't tell. I'm a big Oregon fan, by the way. Not happy about that performance, but hey, you know, whenever you're an Oregon fan, you get used to losing. It happens. Especially at Ohio State. That would be the second time we've lost to Ohio State in a big-time game, at least in my lifetime. So, you know, what are you going to do about it? But kind of switching over to the transfer portal, another huge, huge topic right now in college sports. For those who don't know, transfer portal basically means you have one player here, you have another college here. This little in-between imaginary zone is the transfer portal. It's like basically getting recruited from high school all over again, except for you're at the college level. And a player will hop in there, teams will throw attention at them or not, and they go to whatever school they choose. Major thing. I mean, there's been some very major transfer portal wins over the years. Like, obviously, you got Joe Burrow going from Ohio State to LSU. I mean, without that transfer, I mean, who's to know if they win the Natty that year? I mean, obviously, Joe Burrow, like, absolutely dominated that year. I mean, all across college football, the whole LSU team did. Then you have same with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts played at Bama for a good portion of his career, then had to sit behind Tua. You know what he did? Hop in the portal, went over to Oklahoma, and finished off his year really well and got drafted. And I mean, obviously, just won a Super Bowl. I mean, that's, like I said, it's major transfer portal win right there. Baker Mayfield's another big name. He goes from Texas Tech to Oklahoma, just like kind of similar to Jalen Hurts, and absolutely balls out at Oklahoma. I mean, Baker will probably go down as one of the better Oklahoma quarterbacks there. I mean, obviously. Same with Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I mean, obviously everybody talked about Bo Nix's age, you know. Oh, he's like 30 playing in college football. Well, it's common now. I mean, as unfortunate as it is, it's very common. But he goes from Auburn to Oregon, and I mean, Oregon, obviously, other than last year, has probably one of their better years. I mean, the transfer portal definitely isn't a bad thing. However, I feel like the way it's being used now is kind of, I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's not great. Because now it's like, oh, I'm going to hop in the portal so I can go get more money. Or, oh, I didn't like what so-and-so said about me on social media. I'm going to hop in the portal. To me, like, if I'm hopping in the portal, it's because school A was not a good fit for me. And that happens. You go on all these recruiting trips whenever you're getting recruited in high school, and it's like, oh, I really thought that this school was great, and then you find out that it's not. It happens. Those coaches are sales guys. They're trying to sell you on the school, and sometimes they gotta throw you a little lie here and there. I mean, it happens. Do I blame the coaches? No. You're trying to get the best players to your school. You're gonna lie. It happens. But I do think the portal's a good thing because, like I said, if school's not a good fit for you, why still play there? If it's not fitting your development, it's not fitting your play style, it's not fitting your personality, and you're not in the right place mentally, you're not in the right place physically, and then you're not playing well, I don't want to stay there. Who would? I mean, obviously, like it's not you. The whole point of the portal is to find a school that fits you. And I feel like that's kind of what's been forgotten over the years over the past 3 years, really, because now it's just turned into a big money game. It's like you got guys hopping in the portal 4, 5, 6 times just to go get money. I mean, I saw one kid the other day. He's on like his 7th school now. Like, you couldn't figure it out in the first 4? Oh, excuse me. It's the same with like Tate Martell was a big name coming out of high school. He commits to A&M in high school, then decommits, then ends up going playing at Ohio State, sits behind. Couldn't remember who the starting quarterback was at the time, but I mean that quarterback room was stacked because they had the starting quarterback, then they had Joe Burrow, and then they had Tate Martell. I mean, that's a loaded quarterback room. It just is. So he ends up transferring. I think he transferred to Miami next. Doesn't pan out of Miami. They move him over to like wide receiver or something. Doesn't like that. So he ends up transferring to UNLV and doesn't play. I mean, that's kind of one of the situations where I don't think he really took into consideration what school fit him best. And I'm not saying he was chasing NIL money, because I mean, I doubt it, or maybe he was. There's no telling. I mean, he kind of was one of those guys that was a college bust, and that's the unfortunate side. Some of these 5-stars going to college and big names and just don't pan out. So there's, like I said, there's definitely downsides to the portal, and there's definitely upsides. That's one of the other things that I really think needs to be policed a little better. It's just watching the portal and giving these guys like limits. Like, hey, you can hop in the portal, but you only get 2 transfers or 1 transfer or something like that, just to kind of help schools out. Because whenever you're having to rebuild a team every year because you got 30 guys going in the portal, I mean, it's hard to play any sport like that, especially whenever you get into these lower number sports like baseball, basketball. Whenever you got 8 guys going in the portal in basketball, that's basically your entire starting 5 and then half your bench. I mean, it's not easy to run a team like that. So I definitely think that there needs to be a policing to that, and kind of the NCAA needs to kind of step in and be like, hey, y'all need to chill out. Just like stop for 5 minutes. But yeah, it's crazy. Kind of where I see it going in the next 4 years, or even longer than that. I really think the NCAA is going to start stepping in and kind of being like, hey, y'all need to chill out. Just like stop. And I even see it as far as colleges going in and start finding players. I mean, honestly, I really think, like, if we're treating college athletes like pro players now, they need to go all in on it. Start finding them if they're showing up late to practice. If you're not performing in the classroom, fine them. They want to sit out bowl games. They want to sit out regular season games. Now, unless they're like genuinely hurt, obviously. I'm not saying if somebody's like hurt or family member died or something like that. Obviously, I'm not saying a kid shouldn't sit out. They're still kids. like me, I'm still a kid. Like, I understand. Like, there's stuff in life where you're gonna be affected. But like whenever you're just sitting out because it's like, oh, I don't feel like playing today, or oh, I'm trying to protect my bag. What? What do you think these NFL players are going out doing every day? They're playing every day. Well, not every day, but every Sunday or every Thursday, every Monday, whatever. They're playing for money. You don't think that they're worried about that too? But, that's neither here nor there. Kind of, like I said, my perspective on it. I wish, obviously I wasn't, like, fantastic in college. Obviously, I'd still be playing. But there's definitely times I wish I would have took advantage of the portal, or at least tried it out. Like, because, like, after I got done and I tried going through it, there was nothing there. I mean, it was straight breadcrumbs. I heard from one college coach, maybe. And even that was a long shot because it's like months after I got done playing. I was like, I'm not in game shape, and I'm not like these pro athletes can get ready in like a month or 2 weeks, Like, I'm one of those guys, I need probably about 3-4 months to be solid again, and I'll be ready to go. But that's kind of my opinion on it. I kind of want to keep this episode short. Obviously, I know I'm releasing it a little early. It's Thursday instead of Friday. I'm leaving this weekend, so I want to make sure I still got this out for you guys. I almost forgot our quote of the day. Our quote of the day, probably one of my favorite movie quotes, is, "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain." From Harvey Dent, The Dark Knight. Great movie, by the way. Love Christopher Nolan films. Highly recommend 10 out of 10. If you haven't seen it, definitely need to go watch it. If you have seen it, you're probably like everybody else. It's a great movie. I will kind of give a quick little movie review because I did go see a movie, and that's what this podcast is about, kind of giving little reviews. Went and saw a movie called Mickey 17. Basically, this guy is from Earth. It's almost similar to Interstellar. If you've ever seen Interstellar, Earth is kind of dying off or whatever, and they're just trying to figure out ways to get off. He goes into this program as like an expendable, which basically means they send him in to die. But he gets reprinted over and over. It's really good. I highly recommend it. It's definitely a weirder movie, but it's got Robert Pattinson in it. The guy that plays the Incredible Hulk, he's in it. And it's got Stephen Yeun, Glenn from The Walking Dead, if you guys have ever seen that. But I highly recommend it. Probably give it a 6 out of 10. Definitely a weirder movie. I'm not big into sci-fi movies or anything like that, but I found it pretty interesting, so I highly recommend it. Playing this out, it's going to be Protect Your Neck by Wu-Tang Clan from Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers from their 1993 album. Thanks for watching.
And ask you to play something, right?
Yeah.
You know what I want to hear, right?
What you want to hear?
I want to hear that Wu-Tang joint.
Wu-Tang again?
Yeah, again and again.
Wu-Tang Clan coming at ya. Watch your step, kid. Watch your step, kid. Watch your step, kid.
I smoke on the mic like smoking Joe Frazier, the Hellraiser, raising hell with the flavor, terrorize the jam like troops in Pakistan, swinging through your town like your neighborhood Spider-Man. So tick-tock and keep ticking, while I get you flipping off the shit I'm kicking. The Lone Ranger, co-ed, danger, deep in the dark with the art, to rip the charts apart. The vandal, too hot to handle your battle, you're saying goodbye like Tevin Campbell. Buck neck, Inspector Dex on the set, the rebel, I make more noise than heavy metal.
The way I make the crowd go wild. Sit back, relax, won't smile.
me, the rap assassinator. Rhymes rugged and built like Schwarzenegger. And I'ma get mad deep like a threat. Blow up your project, then take all your assets. Cause I came to shake the frame in half with the thoughts that bomb shit like math. So if you wanna try to flip, go flip on the next man. Cause I'll grab the clip and hit you with 16 shots and more. I got going to war with the melting pot.
It's the method man for short, Mr. Map. Move it on your left. And set it off, get it off, let it off like a cat. I wanna break food, cop me back. Small change, they putting shame in the game. I take game.